we're here to experience emotions, not just go with emotions. And then it's built a level of mental fortitude that has helped me during the entrepreneurial journey to not give up, to focus on my wins, to recognize that things aren't as bad as they seem, to appreciate, to show gratitude for the things that I do have. And then to also recognize that along this journey, I have more in common with others than I don't. And things like the fear of judgment, that's something that's common, that as an entrepreneur I always think about, but I'm willing to experience the emotions that come up in the judgment space because I know my body's able to handle emotions. And I think that's some of the biggest mindset hacks that I've been really leaning into throughout my journey as a life coach, throughout my journey as an entrepreneur, and even when I was in my corporate world too.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching the Digital Enlightenment podcast. Today, I have Drew Ross. He has a background in life coaching and real estate. And yeah, thank you for coming on the show today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we met a little while ago, maybe a couple weeks back to a month back in a online networking event. And yeah, we were just talking outside of the event to be able to see how we could better help each other, how we could bring some value into each other's lives. I found out that he's doing some podcasting as well. And I just asked him if he'd be on the show, and he said that he was excited to do it. So here we are. And so let's just jump right into it. So basically my first question is like, what is it that you do, and like, how long have you been doing it?
Great question. So I'm a general life coach based in Chicago. I found coaching in 2021. I was in corporate real estate development for almost a decade, and I was in and out of fulfillment all throughout my entire corporate tenure. So when that started to happen, when I was sort of wanting to get off that roller coaster, I was like, let me go get a master's degree, because as I was trained growing up, it was to get an education and then go right to work. And it was learn to figure out what you want to do and then go to work when you found what that is. And it wasn't a master's that I found. I actually found a life coach's podcast, and I was like, I'll give this 10 episodes, because I never tried podcasting before as a listener. And when I started to apply it to my personal life, I was like, wow, this really resonates. I feel like I think a lot like this already. The way I lead teams is very similar to this life coach's approach. So I started to do heavy research from the end of 2021 halfway through 2022. And that's when I ended up getting certified. I launched my own podcast, launched my website. And then at the end of 2022, I started to make real life offers to people for them to join my life coaching programs. And that's when the business started. So for anybody that doesn't know, a general life coach is somebody that helps a lot of people with a lot of things, meaning I don't have a specific niche that I say, I help fathers of teenage sons be more confident in their parenting approach. Like, that's not what my niche sounds like. More so, I am an individual that can help ask really curious questions to somebody and be a mirror to a client to just show them the way that they're thinking. And the client, from that point of view, has the option to continue thinking that way if it serves them, or change the way they think, and then start thinking new thoughts that generate new feelings and produce new actions. So I essentially learned that I coach who I was and who I am. So I work a lot with senior leaders, helping them alleviate some people management and project management efficiencies. And then I also love to work with other certified life coaches and entrepreneurs and individuals that are just looking to up-level their mindset. A life coach is described as actionable therapy. So there is healing work that can be done, but a lot of the healing work that comes up is when you have a goal that you're going after or a dream that you're pursuing. You heal through some of the things that trigger you along the way. And so instead of not taking action and healing, sort of when you're talking with your therapist one-on-one, it's the questions in a coaching container sound like, where do you want to go from here? What are your dreams and aspirations? In your own brain, how do you believe that you're going to be able to accomplish it? And then every step of the way, I coach my clients on what comes up along the way until they have achieved that result.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. I can't believe that, at such a young age, you built such a, impressive career, and then that you had uh, the, the courage to then go and say, you know what, like, I'm thinking about going down the path that, has been laid out before me, but I actually want to do this. And then you weren't afraid to just change on a dime, and you
Yeah.
actually made it happen.
When fulfillment hits, you are more inclined to take the leap. So, someone who maybe doesn't have that huge level of fulfillment, they could be living the fulfillment, they just don't really see it yet. They haven't really leaned into it. But when I took the leap, I was like, I know that this is something that I really want to do more of.
Mm-hmm.
And to your original point that you just mentioned, like being so young and being a life coach, I actually had somebody last week tell me that they probably wouldn't hire me because I'm 28 years old as a life coach. But the biggest misconception is that my lived experience doesn't help you live your life. Like,
Yeah.
my job is in a creative way to show you your own brain. And so I wasn't trained to be perfect or to like live a certain life that other people aspire to have. I was trained on getting really curious with my clients, deeply listening and asking really good questions so they can see how they're thinking. And that is the power of coaching, not necessarily your lived experience.
Yeah, I hear that quite often from people usually in the older generation. And it's really because they don't have a awareness of the amount of information that we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis, having access to the internet, because usually they didn't really grow up with the internet, and they haven't had the experience of, being able to be connected with so many different people. We're connected with people of all ages, and we get information that just the average person who really hasn't been connected to the internet the way that we have can't even imagine. So it's upsetting that people could have that perspective, but it doesn't make it not true that someone at your age is able to get an experience that makes them wise beyond their years.
Yeah, and somebody with internet could be just as powerful of a coach as somebody without internet. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's like the main plug is, are you willing to listen and be deeply curious with your clients? And so it's really a fun profession because you remove all of the sort of external circumstances that are going on, and you get to really go inward
Yeah,
with yourself and with others.
that takes a lot of empathy, a lot of putting yourself aside, and then trying to figure out what it would be like to be this other person. I bet. But yeah, so why did you get into entrepreneurialism? Like, was the venture that you were already on, was that more corporate? You said that it was corporate, correct? So why do you think that entrepreneurialism? Because I know it was like life coaching was the thing that you thought was fulfilling, but you could be a life coach for like another company or whatever it is. Like, why do you think that you wanted to become an entrepreneur as well?
This is probably a similar story to many other entrepreneurial stories, but I have sort of been one since I was growing up. Like, when I was in high school, I had a car wash Jeep business over the summer, and like I had a lot of fun running my own operations and collecting cash and organizing schedules and receiving client inquiries. Like, I think, and I would love to watch a documentary on this, but entrepreneurs, I feel, are just built different. So it wasn't necessarily that I had a question on, should I turn this into a business or should I go coach for an organization? I just knew deep down that I wanted to turn it into a business, and I wanted to help a lot of people, and I wanted to monetize my services. So it was a little bit of a no-brainer. I just knew that the next step was for me to make some offers and start collecting cash and turn it into a business. Also, just going through the life coach certification process, there are many coaches that do contract work, meaning that they do coach for organizations, so they fall underneath another coach and get paid by that coach that they're underneath. But a lot of coaches do take an entrepreneurial route, and I just knew that that was going to be what my journey was going to look like. Now I'm open to contract work. Like, I'm always open to jumping in underneath another coach or coaching for an organization in like a contract style format. And I'm not even opposed to not going back to corporate. Like, I will do whatever it needs to be done to make sure that I can continue to coach. But the good thing about what I've accomplished over the last coming up on a year and a half is like I've established a business. It now has arms and it has legs. And so forever, in my opinion, to date, I look at it as a business that can grow.
Something that's sustainable. So it was really just, from what it sounds like in short, it was just an intuitive move for you. It's just something that you feel is natural to you.
Yeah, it was just next step, like get some clients, file the business in the state of Illinois, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love connecting with entrepreneurs. You are 100% right when you said that they're a different breed. You know, we value freedom, we value responsibility. And it's not to say that you can't be free in a corporate job or you can't have responsibility in a corporate job. It's just a whole different, vibe. But
Yes, I agree.
yeah, that brings me to the next question that I have, which is ultimately like, how has mindset played a part in your journey as an entrepreneur? I know that you help people with mindset a lot, but how have you helped yourself? Like, what have you had to go through yourself to be able to get to the point that you're at now?
Yeah, the biggest thing is that we all have human brains. I think that's something really important to recognize and to notice. And so, me being a life coach doesn't negate me from being a human being. So, like, I have these tools that I use for when, like, the human moments happen. So, when the intrusive negative thoughts come up, I just have some mindset tools and techniques that I use to acknowledge them and process them and then move through them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, some instances are shorter than others. Sometimes it can be 10 minutes where like I'm moving through a little bit like of a negative thought period, but sometimes it could take days or weeks. Like it
Mm-hmm.
really just depends. And so for me, I think the biggest acknowledgement that I have with mindset is that no matter where I go, I take my human brain with me. And so I feel like in any situation or circumstance that I'm in, I'm always going to have the possibility of negative thoughts might come up, but I also have the power to thought swap a little bit and switch to some more useful thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been really important for my journey because I don't spend a lot of days where I'm like, I can't get out of this, or I used to believe that I would have to be in a totally positive mindset to accomplish great work,
Mm-hmm.
but I can do big things even with a bit of a negative mindset if that's what's happening in the moment. It's just like an iPhone that has 2% left in battery. Like it can still call 911 and it can still send an I love you text.
Yeah.
Or a car that has 0 miles till it's running out of gas. Like the radio still works and the AC and the heat still runs. Like big things can still be accomplished even if you're not operating at 100% effectiveness and efficiency. And that was the biggest mindset shift for me. It was like feeling bad sometimes is okay and it's normal, it's part of the human experience. And it doesn't have to stop me from showing up in service. So that's probably the biggest thing. So I know I'm gonna have some good days and I'm gonna have some bad days. And I don't even like to consider them good and bad. Just some days are gonna be more comfortable and uncomfortable than others.
Mm-hmm.
And having that recognition is really important, and not needing to change it or having to change it is something that's really important to remember. And then when you have, I do a lot of mindset work and I'm working with a lot of clients or coaches that are trying to accomplish their dreams or bring their dreams to life, you build a sort of a mental fortitude. It's like I've been going to the gym every day for a couple of years now. I mean, I would say really longer than that because coaching has been in me for a while and I've always been in the mental health space. I've just been going to the gym for my brain for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, even if you have a string of 3 to 4 to 5 days that aren't so great, you recognize that everything's going according to plan. So I think it helps you mindset wise tune in more with the human experience, which is what we're here to do. We're here to experience emotions, not just go with emotions. And then it's built a level of mental fortitude that has helped me during the entrepreneurial journey to not give up, to focus on my wins, to recognize that things aren't as bad as they seem, to appreciate, to show gratitude for the things that I do have. And then to also recognize that along this journey, I have more in common with others than I don't. And things like the fear of judgment, that's something that's common, that as an entrepreneur I always think about, but I'm willing to experience the emotions that come up in the judgment space because I know my body's able to handle emotions. And I think that's some of the biggest mindset hacks that I've been really leaning into throughout my journey as a life coach, throughout my journey as an entrepreneur, and even when I was in my corporate world too.
Wow, that there was so much packed in there. Those analogies were amazing. The points that you make are so true. It's like true on a whole nother level. Everything that you said there, it like there were so many things that you said there that over the years have been ginormous lessons for myself that you just packed down into just like a couple minute answer. So it goes back to what we were just saying about, the conversation that you had with whatever individual that was recently. They were overlooking basically like a blessing coming to them because it's amazing what you just said in those couple minutes. So yeah, so now we talked about mindset. The next thing that I want to know is like what hard skills have you needed as an entrepreneur as well that makes your business be able to be sustainable.
Can you define hard skills for me?
Yeah, so like I asked someone in the last interview what skill they think has done that for them, and they said that they thought that patience was the skill that allowed them to persevere throughout their business journey. A hard skill is something like tangible, something actionable that you do within the business. I would say that like the basic hard skills of business are like marketing, sales, value delivery, coaching, whatever it is that you are doing to be able to make the business run aside from mindset.
Yeah. The biggest thing that helps a business run is three simple steps of just meeting as many people as possible, offering to help those people, and then actually helping them. So telling someone, hey, I'm a life coach, offering to help them, and then helping them in my programs. Mm-hmm. That is the sales hard skill that you were just describing, like making as many offers as possible to announce a new podcast release. Hey, you should go listen to this episode. What you're describing would be something you might really resonate from if you take a listen to this episode. Every Monday night, I host a weekly group coaching call for the city of Chicago on Meetup. I can give you that link.
I love it.
Essentially, it's just a group coaching session. My goal is for it to have 100 members by the end of the month. But everybody comes in and they have a topic of choice, and I'm coaching one person one-on-one while everybody else listens.
Wow.
And that's another area where I could give an offer like, hey, I have this group. If you've never met a life coach before, come listen to someone else get coached. See if you have any transformations, even if it's not one-on-one with you. And then let's see if coaching is a great next step for you. If you like what you hear, then we can continue to have a conversation to see if a program is a great fit or if we're a great fit for each other. So a hard skill is definitely making as many offers as possible. That's probably the biggest thing. The next thing is like delivering as much value as I possibly can through the podcast, through conversations with others, through your weekly group coaching call, attending the networking events. Like, I think there is a hard skill of just meeting as many people as possible.
So
like
networking.
That whole skill of being willing to just, even when you don't feel like, go to a virtual networking event, even if it's raining, still go to the networking event. Like, I believe that showing up is a hard skill.
Yeah.
And it ties into everything that I just described about making offers. But to make the business run and to make the business sustainable, people need to be hearing that I'm a life coach. They need to be hearing about my offerings, and they need to be joining my programs. And that is the simplest way to describe the sustainability of the business.
Awesome. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And actually, the person who I asked last time, when they reiterated what they thought was the best skill as a hard skill, when I clarified that, they said the same thing, delivering value. because there's a whole bunch of people who do what you do. There's a whole bunch of people who do what I do, but it's really like what sets us apart from, all of the other people who are doing that, and that's the value that you provide.
Yeah, and I love to rock. One of the biggest thoughts that I carry of myself wherever I go is like everything I do is valuable, whether that's smiling at somebody on my rooftop as I'm like getting a coffee or passing in the hallway, to helping someone achieve a huge goal, or like passing on a life-changing thought or sentence for them to rock. Like when you have the idea that everything you do is valuable, you're more likely to continue to show up time and again to deliver value to as many people as possible.
Yeah, that's a great affirmation. So leads to my next question, which is what technology has been the most valuable to you as an entrepreneur in your business as well?
Coaching to run the business is very simple setup and structure. So my answer is Zoom. Like as simple as it is, to being able to connect with somebody one on one when you're not in the same room with them is so important. And although it's not like the fanciest answer, or it's not like I'm using this new AI tool, like it's Zoom is just simply put, like it allows me to connect with my clients one on one in the comfort of my own home, no matter where they're located in the world. But then it also gives me the outlet to meet other people, whether they're in Chicago or all over the world, to let them know about my services, or so I can hear about their services. Like Zoom has been the most beneficial way for me to get in front of people, connect with people, and build relationships with others if I can't physically be with them in the room. So Zoom is going to have to be the technology that stands out the most for me in my coaching world.
Yeah, I agree 100%. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to get in the car, drive to wherever, fight with traffic. You could just do them back to back to back if you want to. It's amazing. Basically, we met in Zoom rooms. There's like 30
Yeah.
people there, and it's just amazing that we could condense so many people into the comfort of our home without having to actually have them there.
Yeah, if I only had Zoom, I'd be able to run the business because I could meet people. Like I just said, I can meet people through Zoom. I can make offers through Zoom, and then I can help people with my programs through Zoom. So this entire platform has made it very streamlined to be able to run the business.
So you kind of already answered this question, but maybe you could go a little bit more in depth with it. I know that you said like you're using Meetup to be able to do coaching calls and then have people look at that, and I'm sure that you're using that as kind of like a lead magnet. How else are you growing your business at this point?
Yeah, so I don't do anything related to digital ads, and the reason that I don't do that is because I'm in the organic marketing phase. Like, I want to be able to learn how to sell this product and get good at selling, get great at selling my offers before I issue it out into the world. So then somebody could challenge me on that and be like, well, when are you going to be ready, right? Like, I could do ads today, but the way that I'm running it organically is me becoming an expert sales representative for me and my programs. I think that is probably the best place to start. What was the question again?
The question is, what other methods are you using to grow the business?
Yeah. So I have a podcast, and that is a way for people to, especially a lukewarm audience, to get involved in the coaching world. So I issue a podcast episode. The name of the podcast is Better You, Love Drew, and I issue it out every Thursday. And that's a great place for people that don't necessarily, might not be ready to commit to a program or get coached themselves. They can get to know me more through audio and then hear about some of the lessons that I talk about. So that's one way. The weekly group coaching call is amazing because it's like one step up from the podcast. Like it's someone coming face to face that wants to see what I really do for a living, and learn from that exposure. So those two things are some value outputs that I use. I also have a newsletter, and so I'll email out to that newsletter once a week announcing a podcast announcement, and then I'll essentially sell and be like, these are the way that I help people. Like I'll put together an email and be like, I was coaching somebody on this week. If this sounds like you, I can help you, and I've helped others. So I use, outside of meeting people face to face or virtually, I use the art of selling via email, or like
Mm-hmm.
writing my value outputs via MailChimp. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's practice. I release that weekly podcast episode. I was just telling you, sometimes it's just me, sometimes it's a guest interview. So bringing on the guests and just doing solo interviews gives people a balance of, okay, so this is what the entire field looks like in the coaching space. You would sort of get that type of vibe when I'm a guest on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what it would be like to work one-on-one with Drew, and you sort of get that from the solo episodes. Those are pretty much the outlets outside of what I'm doing, like when I'm not meeting people face to face or virtually. It's finding what other value outputs can I relinquish to the world so people can find out about my programs.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different flavor, like of how they like to grow their own business. As an example, like I have an Instagram page,
Mm-hmm.
and talking to the camera isn't a natural thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something that I necessarily love or enjoy. And so I do static graphics, just talking about some coaching methods and modalities. And that's a quick output for me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's way less brain drama, whereas other people are like, I need, reels. They just are so natural to me. Editing the videos, cropping them, putting them out to the world, like that works for them. Like,
Yeah.
the things that work for me are static graphics on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and then live coaching people, and then I love speaking, so the podcast is just something that's so natural. All of this to say, it's all practice. Like, no matter if I'm using MailChimp, or if I'm using Meetup, or if I'm using a podcast, or if I'm going to a networking event, all of this is just building a self-identity of, I'm a life coach and I can help you, and this is how. And the more and more that you practice that, the better you become it when you run into some of your dream clients, or like some of the top clients that are going to be paying you.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at each of the ways that I grow the business as a means to more so build confidence. Like, even sharing an Instagram graphic, that can be scary sometimes, but practicing the art of building the courage to share a thought or a perspective on any type of platform is one of, I would say, a key skill when you're growing your business. Just no matter what platform that works well for you, use one where you don't have a lot of brain drama, and then just put your thoughts out there when you're building your business, and start to build that confidence type of armor, sharing your thoughts and perspectives no matter what field you're in.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And to a couple things that you said there, to the last thing that you were just saying, that's how I suggest that people start out. Because when you're looking at all the different ways that you could grow your business online, it could be overwhelming. Like, especially like a lot of gurus or coaches, they say, to do like cold messaging and stuff like that. And, there's just a whole bunch of resistance that comes up when you're doing that. And I really agree that you have to be able to grow your business in a way that's authentic to you, that makes it so that you feel that, you are capable of doing what it is that you're trying to achieve. Because if you try to do things that you're not comfortable doing, then you're going to go and do those, and then you're going to build like the opposite of confidence. So I agree 100% with that. And
the way we sell is based on, and the way we grow our businesses is just based on a set of beliefs that we have
mm-hmm.
growing up. And so when people are interacting with my posts on social media, it used to not always be like this, but I don't sell on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're commenting on my posts, or you're DMing me and asking me questions, I'm letting you just exist in the space.
Yeah. You're just
and if you
creating
really
a space for them.
You'll be able to reach out and,
mm-hmm.
and be like, hey, how could I get involved in your programs? And that's when I'll really step up the selling. But yes, everybody has a different style and technique based on some of the beliefs that they have growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And mine are to have an approach of give as much value as possible, mm-hmm. and the clients are coming.
Yeah, that's awesome. Another thing that you touched upon, what was it? Honestly, I forgot at this point, but it might come back up. Anyways, next thing that I wanted to ask you was, where could people find you? Where do you want people to go and check you out?
Yeah, so some of the best places, like if anybody has any like life coaching inquiries, like I always say, just email me, mm-hmm. drewrosscoaching@gmail.com.
Okay.
And then I have a podcast that I've mentioned, and it's on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And it's Better You, Love Drew. Mm-hmm. So just type that in and it'll pop up. And then I have a website, which is drewrosscoaching.com.
Okay.
And then all of those different avenues will take you to my LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many ways that you can find me, but I would say those are the three best ways to start getting involved with my work.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to put all three of those links down in the description. And I can't remember the other thing that I was going to ask you, so I think that's about it. We could wrap it up. Thank you so much, Drew, for your time today. It's amazing what you're doing. You're an inspiration for people who are looking at, basically all the different ways that they could go about doing business, because you have basically like a overarching concept that everybody needs, no matter what avenue they go down, because everybody's going to come to the problem of mindset at some point. So it's really awesome what you're doing, and thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Awesome. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.
All right.